Can you believe that with just a few simple materials, we can build a homemade TV antenna? Let's find out together. First, I'll use a battery and a piece of copper wire. I wrap the copper wire several turns around the battery to form an even coil. Once the coil is complete, I remove the battery while keeping the coil's shape. This copper coil will serve as the main receiving element of the antenna. Next, I'll use a length of coaxial cable as the signal transmission line between the antenna and the TV. First, I strip away a section of the cable's insulation to expose the inner copper conductor. Next, I make a shallow cut in the outer insulation, being careful not to damage the braided shielding underneath. This creates a connection point while preserving the cable's internal structure, helping minimize signal loss during transmission. Then, I wrap the copper coil tightly around the prepared section of the coaxial cable. Wrapping it several times increases the contact area between the receiving coil and the cable, allowing the captured signal to transfer more efficiently into the transmission line. Finally, I trim away the excess copper wire, leaving the end of the coil aligned with the cable's inner conductor for a cleaner and more compact assembly. In the next step, I apply a layer of soldering flux to the copper coil before soldering. The flux cleans the metal surface, improves solder adhesion, and helps create stronger solder joints. Next, I hold the copper coil securely with a wooden clamp. Then, I use a soldering iron and solder wire to create two solder joints on the copper coil. Next, I solder the two copper conductors from the coaxial cable onto these two solder joints. This connection allows the signals received by the copper coil to transfer directly into the coaxial cable with a reliable electrical connection. After the solder joints have cooled and become secure, I insert the battery back inside the copper coil. The battery simply acts as a forming core, helping the coil maintain its shape and size for more consistent signal reception. In the next step, I'll use a power plug housing as the antenna connector. First, I disassemble the plug into its individual components. Then, I strip a section of insulation from the end of the coaxial cable to prepare it for wiring. Don't forget to subscribe to support the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss my latest videos. Next, I connect the two cable conductors to the two metal terminals inside the plug. I tighten the terminal screws with a screwdriver to secure the wires. This ensures a firm electrical connection and prevents the wires from coming loose during use. Finally, I reassemble the plug by reinstalling all of its internal parts and closing the outer housing. Let me know where you are watching this video from. Don't forget to comment the country you are currently living in down below. I'm really curious to see which parts of the world my videos are being watched from. Next, I use a length of coaxial cable as the connection between the antenna and the TV. First, I strip the insulation from one end of the cable to expose the inner conductor. This prepares the cable for installing the connector while ensuring reliable signal transmission. Next, I install a TV antenna connector onto the end of the cable and tighten it securely. This connector allows the cable to plug directly into the TV's antenna input, making installation quick and convenient. Then, I wrap several layers of electrical tape around the connection. The electrical tape strengthens the connection and protects it from becoming loose or short-circuited during use. At the other end of the cable, I repeat the same process to create another connector. In the next step, I use a single electrical outlet as an intermediate connector between the antenna and the coaxial cable. First, I disassemble the socket into its individual components. Then, I connect the two cable conductors to the two metal terminals inside the socket. Next, I tighten the terminal screws with a screwdriver to ensure a secure electrical connection. After completing the wiring, I reassemble the socket by reinstalling all of its internal parts and outer housing. This socket serves as an intermediate connector between the antenna and the coaxial cable, making it easy to disconnect, maintain, or replace components whenever needed. Finally, I plug the antenna's plug into the socket connected to the coaxial cable. Now, I'm going to test it in real-world conditions to see how effective it really is. First, I'll switch to a TV channel to check the signal reception without connecting the antenna. As you can see, without the antenna connected, the TV only displays the message, no signal. Next, I'll connect the DIY antenna to the signal input on the back of the TV for the actual test. And here is the result. Almost immediately after connecting the antenna, the TV channels begin to appear. The picture is clear, the colors remain stable, and there are no continuous signal interruptions. To make the test more convincing, I'll perform one more experiment. I disconnect the antenna from the TV and observe the signal changes. As soon as the antenna is unplugged, the screen instantly returns to the no signal message. All channels disappear, confirming that the signal truly came from this homemade antenna. Now, I'll reconnect the antenna once again. As you can see, within just a few seconds, the channels reappear and continue working normally. This proves that many electronic parts that seem to have only one purpose can be reused in completely different and surprisingly useful ways. Not only does this save money, but it also opens the door to many more exciting DIY ideas. If you enjoyed this project or found it helpful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Your support motivates me to continue creating more repair, recycling, and DIY projects in the future. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.